Google's new US crypto ad policy kicks in today. It allows ads related to crypto and Bitcoin on the network with some restrictions. Now, they say some, but there are quite a bit of restrictions. Companies pitching crypto products must be registered with FinCEN or a federal or state chartered banking regulator. So we can get into all of the different restrictions for these US ads in just a little bit. But Nate, I want to throw to you first for your initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. I think that a little known fact is that fintech companies have gotten in a lot of trouble in the past 10 or 20 years for issues related to advertising. It's very closely regulated in the United States. And it'd be interesting to see kind of what the rules and guardrails are for this. But I also wanted to know kind of the history of crypto ads. Maybe Adam, if you had any thoughts on kind of what has been, what have been the ups and downs of crypto advertising?
Oh, you're asking me hard questions today. Yeah, so crypto advertising, again, projects have been looking to get their message in front of people for as long as crypto's really been around. It ramped up particularly during the ICO era, which is when we started to see many of these rules come into play. So this is the 2016, 2017, 2018 sort of time period. Basically, the ability to tell the difference between a scam and a legitimate project, really, really hard to do. And then further to our conversation at the beginning of this show, talking about how we still really don't have clarity about what these assets are. Are they securities? Are they commodities? Are they something else entirely? And who regulates them? I think that has made it very tenable for companies like Google and Facebook to take a very wait-and-see approach. And I think that this is a continuation of that. I think that, again, now that there's some recognition that tokens, that there are companies out there who have, gone through the full registration process and have complied with the law, that this is what Google is effectively saying. And I suspect we'll see it from other players as well in the space, is that if you go through and the government says that you have a license to do the thing that you're doing, then they say, okay, we believe you, right? But for everybody else, for all the businesses that don't really fall under that, then you're kind of still out of luck. So it's a hard problem. But it definitely, again, it gives cover kind of to have these really aggressive advertising policies that you really don't see in any sectors besides cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and I'll also say that it's not just products that are being regulated in this way. Like the way that they say, well, you have to register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or you have to be a chartered banking regulator relationship in there. So, I mean, when these bans came into effect, the people that they hurt the most were all of the media outlets in this space who can't advertise. They don't sell any products, unless they have a sponsorship deal. Like I'm part of a nonprofit, just put out educational content, can't advertise my stuff unless I register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Why does an educator, with a nonprofit need to register with these institutions? So really, it's kind of this very blind blanket regulation that's really just looking at exchanges and people selling these products. But the reality of this is that it means that no one can really talk about this. It really squashes the conversation around these things, and it hurts the industry because if educators can't get out there and say, hey guys, this is what you should know about the industry. These are the scams. These are the things you should be aware of. If people aren't getting that information because no one can promote their content, that's bad for the industry, in my opinion. But Jen, I'll throw to you.
Yeah, Naomi, I agree with you completely. I'm just going to talk everyone through some of the different restrictions. So ad destinations that aggregate or compare crypto service providers are not allowed. Ads related to ICOs or DeFi protocols are not allowed. And I know we saw recently in the UK the same restrictions went into place. And it just feels like nothing is allowed. And so I'm really interested to see what happens as we get to the end of the year with regulation and advertising. I feel like the crypto industry is in for a little bit of a storm. It feels like a storm is brewing, and I don't know what's gonna happen next. But let's move on to the next story.
Yeah, well, Adam, I think you had some final words for that. So do you want to jump in and then we'll throw it to
Yeah,
Nate?
I mean, just real quickly, Naomi, to your earlier point, I want to echo that. So I run podcasts at CoinDesk. We have experimented with doing advertising a little bit in terms of paid to try and get outside of our little bubble. And I got to tell you that we have been repeatedly kiboshed by these restrictions, specifically around promoting shows like CoinDesk's Money Reimagined, right? Which is not trying to sell you anything, right? It's a very sort of philosophical based show. And yet it's kind of, combined in with like obvious Ponzi schemes, right? And like super risky DeFi stuff that doesn't properly disclose risks. And so again, like this idea of like one size fits all as usual just fits most of the people very poorly.